Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this video, and I want to just take some time in this podcast video to just share with you really practically 1, 2, 3 some simple steps of how to live a focused life, how to manage your time, take your minutes, to take your hours of your day, and intentionally aim them at fulfilling your God-given purpose. And so I'm just going to share with you some things that I've been doing. There's different methods of doing this that may work better for you, but here's something that's been working good for me, and I'll give it to you, and you could just take it, begin practicing it, and you'll grow in this skill. Then you can adapt it and tailor it to do what works best for you. But this will help you get started. So the first step is this: is you have to get a clear vision for your life, and get a clear vision for your life. And the truth is that if you aim at nothing, you will waste your life. That is true. If you're aiming at nothing, you will end up wasting your life. You need to have a clear, measurable goals that you are aiming your life at. And so you want to get a clear vision of God's vision for your life. And, if you're like, I don't know God's plan for my life, I would just say start with the basics. What is God's will and vision for every single human being? One, that they would know God, right? That they would be saved, that they would know Christ and live for Jesus and obey God. One, that God's will is that you would love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. This is the greatest commandment of all. So this is God's vision for your life. And that is so practical. I'll talk about that in another podcast recording. But yeah, Lord, what can I do to love you with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength? What would that look like in my life? And, for me, that looks like I want to be a man of the word. I want to be a man of prayer. I want to obey God. I want to, et cetera. We can go on and on and on with that. But find out what is the God's will for all people, and just start there and start doing that. God's will is that you would love your neighbor as yourself. Love people well in his name. Just ask the Lord that question. Holy Spirit, how can I love my neighbor as myself? Start with your spouse, your children, your mom, your dad, depending on what age you are, the people that are around you, your peers. God, how can I love them well? If you'll ask Holy Spirit these conversations, he has great ideas, and he'll give you very specific things like, hey, encourage this person, make it a goal to encourage them every day, spend time with this person, or whatever it is. He'll inspire ideas if you'll ask him the questions. And then you could take the ideas and just build, and I'll go on, but then you build them into your schedule. But so get a clear vision for your life. So love God, love people, be saved, right? Trust and follow Jesus. Obey God's commands. Make disciples of Jesus. This is God's will for every single human being. And so start with those. Ask the Holy Spirit the question, God, how can I make disciples of Jesus? What's your plan for me? And then he'll give you practical things you could do to do those things. And if you'll just start doing that, the rest of the details in terms of God's vision for your life, that will come. That will come as you start walking out what you know. But ask him these practical questions. And I think it's important too to know that success in life is fulfilling God's vision for your life. So there are people who are great at time management, who are very successful in the eyes of the world, but they may be a complete failure in the eyes of the Lord, which means they're a complete failure. There's people who are billionaires. There's people who are, famous politicians, famous authors, famous athletes, and coaches who've won all kinds of championships. And the world would look at them and say, this person is such a success, and they have best-selling books on how to be a success, but they'll stand before the judgment seat of Christ. And if they haven't done it for the glory of God, they'll find that it was all a waste, and they're actually a failure in life because none of it was done to worship God. It was all done for other reasons, selfish glory or whatever it is. And so I just want to make that distinction, because there's some people who may listen to a teaching like this and say, yeah, I want to be successful, and they're thinking, I want to be wealthy. I want to be healthy, whatever. I want to be popular. I want to be famous. I want to whatever it is. And you may or may not be a success in the eyes of God if those things happen. So it's important when you get a vision, God's vision for your life, you just got to know it's not just get a vision that sounds cool, how you're going to be rich, how you're going to be successful in the eyes of the world and impress your parents. It's like, how can I please the Lord? That is success in life. And so get a clear vision for how you can serve God's plan and his vision for your life. Get a clear vision, get measurable goals. And I would say under this, step one, get a clear vision for your life, is identify the big most important priorities, and put those first into your schedule. And I'm going to just teach you an illustration that has helped me over the years. So there was a college professor, a story goes, a college professor who was teaching a time management class, and he had this large glass aquarium type thing sitting on the table in front of the class. And he took these big rocks from under the table, and he just kept bringing them out and putting them in the glass container until the glass container was full and he couldn't fit any more big rocks in there. And then he asked the class, he says, what does this illustration teach you? Oh no, first he says, can I get any more rocks in? And the class said, no, there's no way. You can't fit any more rocks in there. If you try to put another one, it's going to just fall out. And he just smiled, and then he pulls out from underneath the table this bag of gravel, and he begins to pour in the gravel, the little rocks, and it fills all the cracks in between the big rocks until they can't get any more in there. And he says, can I get any more in? The class smiles and says, yeah, we're on to you. Yes, you can get more in. So the professor smiles. He pulls out this bag of very fine sand from underneath the table, and he pours the sand into the tank, and it fills the little crevices between all the little rocks until they can't get any more sand in. And then he asks the class, he says, hey guys, what does this illustration teach us about time management? And there was a young man at the back of the class who raised his hand. He says, I know. He says, no matter how full our schedule gets, we can always squeeze more in if we just get creative. And the professor smiled and he says, that was a good guess, but no, that's not the lesson that this is teaching us. And he said, here's the lesson. He says, if I had not put the big rocks in first, I never would have fit them in at all. And it's important when you're managing your time for God, getting a clear vision for your life. Say, God, what are the big rock priorities for this season of my life? What are the most important things that I need to devote myself to? And here's why that's helpful, is because there's so many good things that you can do, but you're only one person. You only have 24 hours in a day. You only have so much time and so much energy. You're not going to be able to do everything. And if you say yes to every good thing that comes along or every idea somebody else gets you, you're going to burn yourself out, and you still might not fulfill the plan of God for your life. So it's important in getting a clear vision for your life. It's like, okay, Holy Spirit, what are the big priorities? The things I need to say yes to and put into my schedule and make sure they get done before anything else. And, that may shift in different seasons. You may be, you may have when you're young and your children are living at home and you're just like, taking care of your 2-year-old, and it's a huge big rock priority in your life, if you're watching them all the time. But then they grow up, and then season changes, and they move out, and they're married, and they have a family of your own, and you're not going to be spending necessarily as much time every day meticulously watching over your child because the season shifted. And so we need to stay in conversation with the Holy Spirit as the seasons change. Holy Spirit, in this season, what are the big rock priorities for my life? How can I please you? And so ask him those questions and get a clear vision for your life. Identify the priorities, put them into your schedule first. And so step 1 is get a clear vision. Step 2 is make a practical process. These are action steps for what you're going to do practically, the action you're going to do the vision, to fulfill the thing on your life. So I could just give you just give you a couple examples. Let's say that one of the things you're seeking the Lord, let's say you are a stay-at-home mom and you do have that 2-year-old that's there. And the Lord speaks to you. He's like, you know what? The way you can please me most in this season of your life is to devote yourself to loving that child. And so then it's just like, okay, how can I do that, Lord? How can I love my child well? And the Lord will give you action steps. He may say, spend time reading to them each day. He may say, make sure that, their diapers are changed and they're cared for, and whatever it is, make sure that you're speaking encouragement over there every day. Make sure you're praying for them each day. These are practical things that you can do. And then what you do is you take your schedule and you you make sure that those practical things happen. I'm going to pray each day. Set a prayer alarm on your phone for a certain time that goes off and says, pray for my 2-year-old. And then you pray and you declare the blessing of God over their life. And, set a time when you're going to be with them and give them undivided attention. And you just have clarity from the Lord of what that looks like in your season. And then build it into your schedule, practical action steps, and then build it into your schedule and do them. I mean, it's that simple. It may be, I want to be a man of prayer, a woman of prayer. It's like, okay, well, like, what's your goal and what's your plan? How much do you want to pray each day? And then get your schedule and schedule it. Build time into your schedule. I'm going to pray each day on this. What are you going to pray for? And then get a prayer plan that you can put in there. It's like, it may be, what's your will, God, for, I want to be a man of the word. I want to know the word. It's like, I want to read the entire Bible. God's like, I just want you to study the word in this season, or whatever it is. I want to excel at my job. The Lord may be like, okay, like, what does that look like? You ask the Lord, what does that look like for me to excel and glorify you in my career, in my job, in this season? And the Lord may give you practical things to do. Build it into your schedule. So identify the big rock priorities. You get the vision, but then you need that process, the practical action steps that accomplish the vision. And this is a big deal, because I say this is a big part of the skill of time management, is learning how to build in action steps that accomplish your big goal. And so that's one of the things that have really helped me over the years. And so it's like, if you were to come to me and you were to just say, man, I really feel like God is calling me to, I actually had a guy tell me this, a conversation one time. He's like, I just feel like God is calling me to be better at evangelism, to do more evangelism. So I'd say, okay, well, what's your plan? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what's your plan? What's your plan to do better at evangelism? I'm like, you have a vision. That's good. You have a general vision, do better at evangelism, but it needs to be more specific. What are the action steps? What are you going to do this week in order to grow in that area of your life? And he's like, well, I don't know. And so I just gave him a few things. I was like, well, I would just say this. I'd say, make it a goal. How many people are you going to talk to about Jesus this week? He said 2. I said, okay, that's good. I said, your goal. And then I just helped him get a plan. When are you going to go talk to people about Jesus? And I remember there was a time when God was stirring my heart to just devote myself to evangelism. I'm like, okay, I got to be intentional. So I took my schedule and I prayed about what would this look like. And I said, I'm going to do at least two 30-minute evangelistic outreaches every single week. I'd take my schedule at the beginning of the week and I'd look at it and I'd schedule it in the block of time, 2 30-minute blocks of time. I'm going to go and do evangelistic outreach. And I would do that regularly each week. And I got to share the gospel with people and, lead people to the Lord, and good things happen like that. But it was because I had a clear vision. I knew what he wanted me to do. And then I had a practical process, an action plan for how I was going to grow in that area of my life. I built it into my schedule. And then the third step to managing your time is just discipline, honestly, personal discipline. It's like, once you got a clear goal you're aiming at, a clear vision, you have the practical steps, the process that if you just do these steps, it's inevitable you're going to end up accomplishing your big goal, your big vision. Okay. And then it's like, and then it's just discipline to actually do the steps when you're scheduled to do it. And I want to just encourage you in this, self-discipline is important. It's something that you can grow in, but I also want to just encourage you that God will give you grace to fulfill his plan for your life. You are not going to hit your schedule 100% of the time, all the time. You're not. There's going to be divine interruptions in your schedule. There are going to be just people interrupting your schedule. Life happens. Things happen. There's times where I have planned, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then I get sick, or a kid gets sick and they need to be picked up from school, and I'm taking care of a sick kid. And it's like, well, okay, that happens. I mean, there's going to be interruptions. Life happens. There's going to be times when you just feel lazy, or you just like, gosh, I don't feel like doing it today. I just feel like chilling out and doing whatever. You're going to have times like that. And my point is, the personal discipline is, you're being intentional and you're aiming at it. And you're not going to always do it perfectly, but if you even hit your schedule 70% of the time, you're doing great. You are going to fulfill the plan of God for your life far more than if you're just kind of floating through your day, going wherever you feel like going that day. You want to be intentional about it. So get a clear vision. Get a practical process, the action steps that you're going to do that's going to help accomplish that vision. And then the third thing is just discipline and rely on God's grace. And here's what I mean by the grace of God. The grace of God is his empowerment to do the will of God. And so when you're like, God, how do I live my life for you? He is good. The grace of God, he's going to give you ideas. He's going to give you inspiration to do the things he's calling you to do. He's going to give you clarity and wisdom concerning your big rock priorities in that season of your life and how you could please him the most, and ideas for how to walk that out in a way that works for you. He's going to give you mercy, when you fall short. He's going to give you strength when you feel weak. He's going to restore you and help realign you and help you refocus continually, because, we all have that where we got a plan, we're doing it well, and then we kind of get off focus, and the Holy Spirit's going to be like, no, refocus, live a purposeful life. And you're like, oh yeah, that's the grace of God working in you, helping you realign and stay steady in his plan for you. So anyway, I hope that this is helpful for you. And I love doing this. It's been super helpful for me. And I'll just end with this illustration. I heard this years ago. I heard that there's floaters and there's flyers, and two different types of people. And the floaters is like, you would think of like a hot air, a balloon that you fill with helium and it floats up into the air, but the direction it just goes whatever direction the wind is blowing. The outside circumstances completely determine the direction that balloon's going to go. But then you have flyers, and this would be like a jet airplane. And a jet airplane, it doesn't matter which direction the wind's blowing. It knows exactly where it wants to go. If it's taking off in New York City and wants to land in Los Angeles, it sets the coordinates and it aims intentionally and it has power and it goes that direction and it's going to land in Los Angeles, regardless of which direction the wind is blowing. It has a plan, it has power, it's intentional. And I want to live my life as a flyer, not a floater. But many people, they don't do that. They live their life as a floater. They don't have clear vision for their life. They're just kind of like, they do whatever their environment tells them, whatever their friends are doing, or whatever the people around them are doing, or what, it's just like, well, I guess I'm going to do this, or whatever my boss tells me to do. I guess I'm just going to show up to work. And then what are you going to do when you're not working? Well, I don't know. I guess I'll just play video games, or I'll watch television, or I'll surf the internet, or I'll hang out on social media, or whatever it is. And it's like, I want to live with intentionality. Like, God, what is your plan for my life? And I'm going to aim my minutes at your purpose. And I want to have practical action steps. And I want to live with the joy of knowing that I'm pleasing the Lord and I'm being intentional about it. So this is a practical way of what it looks like to do this with your time. And I hope this is helpful for you. And I want to encourage you. The key to this whole thing is stay in an ongoing conversation with the Holy Spirit, interacting with the Holy Spirit who lives inside of you about these things. What is your purpose for my life? How can I please you? How can I spend my time? Strengthen me. God, forgive me. Help me refocus. You'll do this if you'll just stay in the conversation. And this is a skill that you will grow in, you'll become great at, and it will bring spiritual vitality and blessing and greater fruitfulness in your life and blessing to the people around you. So thanks for listening in today, and God bless you.